Florence Democratic candidates endorse COVID-safe campaigning. During these troubled times, when our entire way of life is on the precipice of disaster, we have the opportunity to take matters into our own hands to prevent the spread of COVID-19. As responsible citizens and leaders in the county, we must role model for our community responsible behavior during this election season and while schools reopen. The Democratic candidate for mayor has been a licensed practicing nurse in our community for over 30 years. Her professional experience gives her firsthand knowledge of the devastating impact of not following the CDC guidelines. As a healthcare professional and candidate for mayor, she recognizes the difficulty of campaigning during these challenging times. Melissa Watson, the candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, and Teresa McGill-Payne, the candidate for the South Carolina House of Representatives District 60, are educators within the public school system. They believe that it is critical that all parents and children be educated on how to enter and stay in school this fall without becoming a conduit of COVID-19. All Florence Democratic candidates who are attending this gathering are united as a party to practice safe methods on the campaign trail and during the election. I would like to introduce to you first City Councilwoman Teresa Myers-Irvin. She will talk about safe COVID practices.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
I'm good.
In following what Suzanne said, I have been a nurse for 39 years. In my 39 years of practice, I've never seen anything as COVID-19. When we first started down on this trail, I believe it was about February, about March, that I made a video just simply stating that if you have lungs and if you can breathe, you can be affected by COVID-19. And the data has now shown that all ages are being affected by COVID-19. As a neonatal intensive care unit nurse, one of the things we found that if a mother comes in, she's COVID-19, she have to quarantine the baby afterwards. We have realized now that there's a multi-system inflammatory process that affects young children. So I was saying to you again, if you have lungs, if you can breathe, you can be affected by COVID-19. The healthier you are, the more likely you might survive. And I say that because a 17-year-old has died. We've had people in their 20s die. You're finding that more and more people goes onto a ventilator do not survive. I find it amazing as a woman of God that if you believe in the Word, mankind became a living being when the breath of life was blown into their lungs. I find it amazing that when a baby is born, one of the most crucial points is that we make sure that child is able to take that first breath so they can breathe and they can live. But now we have a disease that shows us that if you can breathe in this infection. If you exhale, you can exhale this infection. This disease does not discriminate. It doesn't care what ethnicity you are, how old, or how young. You can catch it and you can die from it. But I want you to be aware that even though some people survive this COVID-19, realize a lot of lives have been affected by this particular virus. This virus affects anything from your brain down to all your organs. So I would ask you to commit with me to do all we can do to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The biggest spreader is simply our breath, our breathing. We breathe this disease to other people. You may hear about surfaces. In other words, if you breathe and droplets come out, saliva spit, if it lands on something, it can stay on there for a while. But this is how wearing this mask here, I'm protecting you from me. Because if I have it, it needs to be shielding to me. If you're wearing your mask, you're doing the same. You're protecting me and your loved one. The word says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We are in a pandemic. We all have our rights, but don't we have a right to protect each other as well? Don't we have a commitment to protect each other? So I'm asking everyone to wear masks. Even if you're talking to someone, try to still maintain that 6 feet of distance. A lot of things that concerns me when I see people wearing masks like this. If you're going to expose your nose, you're not helping. You're breathing back out through your nose. So wear a mask, wash your hands, and I was very pleased to see everybody doing the elbow. Not even the hand bump anymore, elbow. Because you notice with our hands, if we put our hands to our face, and if we touch what I call our death triangle, the death triangle is your eyes, comes down to your mouth. So that means you can come in through your eyes, through your nose, and through your mouth. So keep your hands away from the death triangle. Most of all, some people use hand sanitizer, but there's a good old thing we call soap and water. Wash your hands as much as possible. As a medical profession, we wash and hand sanitize frequently. But also, make sure that you do those things. Now, I'll summarize. Wear your mask, maintain 6 feet of distance, and wash your hands. But most of all, protect each other. Thank you.
Thank you, City Councilwoman. I'd like to hear a few words with Mr. Darren Yarborough. Mr. Darren Yarborough will be on your ballot for Sheriff of Florence County. And he's going to share with us how the county can stay safe and how our police officers can keep us safe.
Thank you, Suzanne. Yes, I'm Darren Yarborough. Running to be your next sheriff here in Florence County. And one of the things that is very important is, like, Mayor Teresa said, washing your hands, wearing your mask. We gotta do this, people. We gotta do this. This is to protect each other. As law enforcement, it has changed the way we responded to calls to you all as citizens. When we get these 911 calls, now you have to prioritize whether you're going to respond or whether you're going to take that call by telephone. So this is something that we as law enforcement officers have to adjust to now, going into the community. We have to wear masks now into our jails when people are coming to jail. It changed the circumstances on whether you take someone to jail on this charge or that charge. Because this pandemic is very serious. I wish I had the authority to arrest them, but we just don't. But we can fight it together by just simply doing the simple things that are asked of us by our medical staff. Wear our masks, wash our hands, stay 6 feet apart. I know we want to gather, I know we want to celebrate, I know we want to get out together, but these are the things that we have to do if we want to continue to survive as a society. And this is something that I'm looking to help us to do in any way that I can, in a way that the sheriff office can, our law enforcement can. We're going to try to do everything that we can do in protecting and serving you in this manner also. Thank you. Let's stay safe and let's help each other out in this pandemic.
Darren, good luck to you. I just imagine Teresa and Darren leading our city. It's really exciting. I'd like to hear from 2 educators in our group, and I'm going to ask them to come up together. My friend Melissa Watson is running for the U.S. House of Representatives.
Yes.
Melissa is a teacher, a single mother, and the real deal. Here she is.
Hello everyone. Hopefully you can hear me with the mask, but COVID-19 is very serious. I teach in a high school, so I'll give a high school perspective. High school kids think they're invincible. We've all seen the pictures of Georgia when they opened school and how the kids looked. If they had masks, they had their noses exposed. Most of them were not wearing masks. Because the truth of the matter is, if a high school kid gets COVID, they are more than likely to survive it. But I've talked to some young people who've had it, and they have said it is not something that you would want to have. Healthy, they said they had problems walking upstairs, they slept a lot, their lungs hurt, but they survived. It was worse than any flu that they've ever had. But I'm not concerned so much about the spread in high schools among the children as much as I am concerned about them being carriers and taking it home to grandmother, or taking it home to mom or dad, or taking it home to somebody with a pre-existing condition. They may be asymptomatic and not even know it, carry it to their grandmother after school, because let's be honest, for a lot of children, their grandparents are their caretakers. So if they're in school every day and they contract COVID-19 and they go home and transmit it to their parents or their grandparents, they may be fine, but grandmom or dad or mom may not be fine. We have a contingency of parents who are older, who waited later to have children, and so they are also at risk. That's the high school perspective. Now let's talk about the little children. You can train them right now and tell them to wear masks. You can train them and tell them to social distance. But the first day of school, after not seeing their teacher since March, they are going to run up to that teacher and give that teacher a big hug. Because that's what elementary kids do. They are huggers and they're sweet until they get to me. Until they get to me. And then they don't want to touch you. But in elementary school, that's a natural reaction for them. And now to tell them that they can't touch their teacher, and you can do it all day, but now you're dealing with their issues, their self-esteem, and not understanding why they can't give their favorite teacher a hug. So when we open schools, we need to do it safely. In South Carolina, we are still seeing more than 1,000 cases per day. 1,000 cases. We have not dropped below 1,000 cases since we have reopened this state. And so I am urging everyone to think carefully, to be logical, and let's take the politics out of this, and let's put the health and safety of our citizens first. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Teresa Payne, and I'm running for the House of Representatives, seat number 60. As a school administrator, I see how our children are subjected to the pandemic. We have a lot of our children now that are fearful about coming to school. We actually opened up our schools this week for assessments and questioned some of our students. Some of the students were reluctant, afraid, because of death of family members that they may or may not have had. It is imperative that we stay abreast on what's going on in our communities. Continue to teach our children not only about wearing a mask and how important it is, but how important it is to wash their hands at least 15 to 20 seconds. If you're going to the restroom and don't use it, still wash your hands. We are trying to teach our children to stay 6 feet distance and show them the importance of why it is to stay far apart from one another. This week has been an experience for me going back to school and testing our students. And it's because of the eerie feeling that the school has had. The children are scared. Some of the teachers are afraid. But we have to stick together and continue to watch out for our neighbors. Continue to take care of our neighbors. We have to, as administrators, as politicians, as friends, as neighbors, as children of God, do the right thing. If you don't see someone with a mask offer them a mask. Ask them why they're not wearing it, because they're not only affecting themselves, but they're affecting everybody that's around them. So it is also imperative that parents, please, if your children are sick, do not send them to school. If they have a fever, do not send them to school. One of the great things that we've done, we check our children's temperature before they got out of the cars. Now, if they do come to school and do not have a temperature but not feeling well, the first thing that we're going to do is send them to the nurse. That's an automatic go home. But it is everybody working together to make sure that our children are safe first. That's the main thing, is making sure that our children are safe so that they won't catch anything and then they won't take anything back home. Another thing that I found that an issue with, I see a lot of kids walking around with no mask on at all. And that is it's worrisome because they do not understand the importance of why it is to wear the mask and the washing of the hands. They don't understand that. I've asked some of my other students in one of the, I think it was the 8th grade class, I've asked them several times, what is it that has changed for you since you've been out of school with this COVID-19? And they said, well, Ms. Kane, I didn't think it was real. I thought this was a hoax. I thought this was something that people just made up. They didn't realize it until people in their families started dying. And they took it serious. So I'm asking everybody, please let's work together for our children, as far as the education is concerned. Watch out for our children, watch out for our parents, make sure that everybody's safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I happen to be one of those, I don't know what you call them, Melissa, but one of those people that had children late in age. I'm 57. I have a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 16-year-old. They're scheduled to go to 3 different schools. They've got 3 different programs. And the infectious disease doctor, a local infectious disease doctor who's a good friend of mine, told me that I'm going to be triply exposed, right? Because they're going to a whole different groups. And my kids and I, we talk about it because they don't want to, mommy's not sick, and they don't want to get mommy sick. And so they don't know what to do. They want to go to school, they don't want to go to school. They're just confused, and so am I. Thank you very much. I would like to call up the brothers. Isaac Wilson, Chiquez McCall, can you guys come up? You guys, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about who are these kids going to listen to? They're going to listen to you two because you guys are super cool. All right, Chiquez?
Well, I would say I'm the brother, I'm the good looking one. But in all seriousness, again, my name is Chiquez McCall. I'm a candidate for Florence City Council. In all seriousness, as a man of faith, I honestly believe that this pandemic that we're in, although it's once in a generation type of disease, this too shall pass. But what it will take from us as leaders of our community is to take the initiative, to take the affirmative. And I am very proud to be amongst my brothers and sisters here today as a Democratic Party, moving forward with our candidates, and we're taking the initiative of advocating for safe campaigns. I know we all have we're all kind of ready to get out there and campaign and show our vision for the city and for this area. But I am very happy, again, to be amongst my brothers and sisters and taking the initiative to make sure that we're not putting anyone at risk. We're doing a lot of things virtually. We're doing a lot of things different. And I think that shows a true character trait of a leader, taking the initiative. And I'm proud to be out here as a Democratic candidate for Florence City Council, as well as with State House members and Mr. Sheriff and Congress and Mayor. We're all out here. We all want to win, but at the same time, too, we do not want to jeopardize anyone's lives. So we're taking the initiative. In addition to that, I have 3 little kids who we're still debating whether or not we're going to do virtual learning or in person. I think the deadline is today, I think, or last night was the deadline. But again, and my wife is a kindergarten school teacher, so she is definitely, she's on the forefront of it. So again, we're all, cognizant about where we're at in this day and age. And again, we want to make sure we're doing our part, staying 6 feet, wash your hands, not exposing anyone unnecessarily. And again, I'm glad to be out here for that cause. My brother Isaac.
Again, I'm Isaac Wilson, candidate for the State House for District 63. Again, the Sandwich Quiz, I'm glad to be out here amongst great leaders of our community, talking about ways that we can stay safe. I, by trade, am a bullying prevention expert, so I'm in schools all the time, elementary, middle, and high school. And let's just face it, we have some dirty kids. They like to play in the sand. We got some, they don't like to wash their hands. They already come to school sick, and then we have a pandemic on top of it. And so it's a real sticky situation that we're in. I'm just asking everyone, if you feel sick, you've got a cough, a steady cough, just stay home. Keep your kids home. Don't bring them to school to get them exposed to anything, no sickness, but let alone this COVID-19, because we don't know what it's going to do. So stay safe, and if you need anything from any one of these candidates, I'm sure you can call them and say, hey, I need a sign in my yard. Hey, let's talk virtually one-on-one. I'm pretty sure all of them will talk to you. But we're going to get back out there. You're going to see us virtually. You're going to see us social distancing in the communities. So just bear with us as we get there. And remember to vote for all these candidates, okay? They didn't mention it, but I'm going to say it. Vote for every one of these candidates. The Democratic Party, all these Democratic candidates. And so let us be victorious on November the 3rd, okay?
Yes. Ain't no party like a Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'm really excited about the next 86 days until November 3rd. I wanted to say just a few quick things about voting in Florence. I called the Election Commission today to ask a few questions. Our ballots, everybody knows you have to request an absentee ballot, so you have to get an application requesting a ballot. When you get your official ballot, I was told they would be coming out the first week in October. You have to have the envelope signed. And your ballot is 2 sides. You've got to fill out both sides. When you put it in the sealed envelope, on the back of the envelope, it has to be witnessed. So there's lots of steps that make it more difficult to do the mail-in process, but it is the safer process. My friend Melissa, you told me you were advocating for people to request their ballot.
Now,
Request it now, but then you said take it in themselves?
I said request your ballot now. I said request your vote by mail ballot now, or you can do like I do and vote absentee in person. And the earlier you do that, the less people that are there. I usually go the first day the absentee and vote in person starts. Now, there is some legislation, there is a couple of lawsuits out there to have COVID-19 be a reason to absentee vote. That's one. So I'm strongly urging, Isaac, you need to get elected tomorrow. Okay? I'm strongly urging our legislators to do what they did for the primary and do away with the witnessing part, because that means you've got to bring someone into your house that you may or may not know to witness your ballot to seal, and then send it by mail. They are going to give you postage for the actual ballot this time that you mail in. But they're not giving you postage if you request the ballot by mail. You have to pay your own postage for the actual application process. So please do that now. Because as it gets closer, they're going to get overwhelmed and you can get lost in the cracks. Or you can go absentee vote in person. That's how I do it. You vote on machine, you are sure that your ballot counts, and there is no provisional process or legal process to go back and look at your vote to see if they're going to count it. You know, if you vote in person at the Florence Election Commission, that it is done, and you get a little piece of paper telling you who you voted for, you seal it yourself, and you are good to go. So there are many options, but what you don't want to do is wait until October to decide what your plan is going to be. Do it today. Do it today. And if you don't get in 3-4 days before October, walk that ballot into your office yourself and hand it to them. Because if it's not received on election day by 5 o'clock, it does not count.
Thank you, Melissa. You're a wise woman. But I do think maybe the wisest person here, and I believe so strongly in respecting my elders, is Reverend Leo Woodbury. Reverend, can you close, please?
It is amazing and great to see so many wonderful Democratic candidates who, when we elect you all, will do something that I call sweeping the board, where we'll be able to place a mayor in office, be able to elect a sheriff, send someone to the State House, send people to Congress, in a manner that has not happened in this state since Reconstruction. So I want you to realize that you folks are part of an amazing process in democracy.
Right, that's right.
Yes, yes.
The foundations of our democracy are in the Declaration of Independence, where all of us are guaranteed the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. During this pandemic, lives are at risk. During this pandemic, there's a lot of sorrow and a lot of grief. But we can ensure that people have a right to life, that they have a right to liberty, that they have a right to the pursuit of happiness by doing what those who will vote for you are asking you to do. To keep all of us safe. To keep all of us in mind. To place people before party, people before profits. And if we do that, not only will we get past this COVID pandemic, but we will take our democracy to another level never experienced before. And so as a pastor, I cannot help but to call on the God that I and so many of us serve to say at this time that we're in a new place and a new time, and that we've been through so many trying times. But if we have faith in God, if we have faith in one another, if we stand for what is right, then victory is ours. So thank you so much. God bless you. Heaven keep you. Be safe. Be strong. Let's do the right thing. And each and every one of you and the constituency that you serve will win. Thank you so much.
Amen.